Bulls Nation, as the Chicago Bulls continue to get better every single day through training camp and as well as preseason coming up ever so shortly. There are a lot of things that the Chicago Bulls have brought out by some analysts. Some players have even said stuff themselves, as well as an update on the tampering situation. And we're going to be talking about a lot of those things in this video today. So be very aware and let's get started right now. Let's do it. What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Today we've got a Chicago Bulls related video referring to some of the updates around the training camp. Some players have set out to impress, other players have spoken out about how big of a fan they are about the Chicago Bulls, and we're going to also be discussing a little bit of the tampering situation and what the Chicago Bulls are expected to get out of that situation. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls, how well their training camp has gone so far, and just overall anything you need to say about the Chicago Bulls. Feel free to let me know in the comments below. So, as I said, there are a number of things that the Chicago Bulls, I guess, a lot of stories about the Chicago Bulls and some of their players. The first one I want to start off with is a big fan of the Chicago Bulls according to his own right, and his name is Derrick Jones Jr. Now, if you don't know who Derrick Jones Jr. is, he's a player that was traded, traded to the Chicago Bulls from the Portland Trail Blazers. He was part of the Larry Marketing trade. Derrick Jones Jr. is someone that I personally believe, and I'm sure many other people believe, was pursued by the Bulls for a very long time now, and he's found his way on this team. And he's talked about how much of a fan he was of the Chicago Bulls, and more specifically, obviously, the GOAT, Michael Jordan, and one of the greatest Chicago players to ever step foot in the Chicago Bulls and wear a jersey for the Chicago Bulls, Derrick Rose. Two really interesting players that he has been massive fans of over the course of the years. And it kind of does shows at times in his game. Of course, he's an athlete. He likes to finish around the ring, and these are things that I guess you could put as part of their games. Obviously, he's not a Derrick Rose, he's not a Michael Jordan. I don't know if he'll ever be those things, but it's good to see that he was a fan of these players, and he takes, I guess, admiration from these players, and he just goes to show how much of a fan he is of the Chicago Bulls. And again, I always love a story when the fans, I guess fans of the team, fans of the Bulls, the organization itself, ends up coming to play for the Bulls themselves. It goes to show that there are a lot of passionate players around the league that want to play for the teams that they've been growing up supporting over the course of their years in the NBA. And so not many players get to see that. Not many players get to do that. It looks like Derrick Jones Jr. is kind of in a very interesting predicament in his career because he is doing that at the moment. And now it's time to see if he'll succeed for the Chicago Bulls. Again, I'm only hoping for positive things when it comes to Derrick Jones Jr., as I do with a lot of these players. And I always love that story of a fan playing for a team that they like. That's always a good situation to be in. It makes the players happy. It makes the fans feel more supportive of that player. There's nothing wrong in that retrospect. I'm very happy that he's come out and said things like this. Obviously, it makes me more excited to see him, and hopefully we get to see him in the upcoming future preseason and regular season. He should be a mainstay on the team at the moment. He's definitely a player that should be a mainstay on the bench, and we'll see what happens when it comes to Derrick Jones Jr. But early positive signs to see that he is a fan of some of our players and a fan of this team in general. That makes me very excited nonetheless. The next story I want to talk to you about, ladies and gentlemen, is a story of an impressive player coming into this training camp. Now, of course, he is a new signing because we have a lot of them at the end of the day, and his name is Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso has turned heads, according to people, by how impressive he's been in training camp, especially the defensive side of the ball, which is very intriguing. But this is something that most of us have known about when it comes to Alex Caruso for a long period of time. We all know what he's brought into this team to do, and that is to play with intensity, have more responsibility offensively, but bring his defensive presence to the court every single night. That was what he was brought in to do. That's what we paid a large amount of money for him to go out and do. And he's going to have a lot more responsibility on his team than he did on the Lakers. He's going to be able to shoot more. He's going to be able to show his offensive prowess a lot more. But more specifically, he's here to play defense, perimeter defense. And the fact that he's coming out here and he's impressing the Chicago Bulls, impressing the players, impressing people that are speaking about this means a lot to me personally, because he's definitely one of the players that I want to wait and see about before I make a quick judgment based on whether that contract was worth it or not. Because at the end of the day, I can appreciate the player that Alex Caruso is. In fact, I can admire that we brought someone of his caliber in defensively because we know that's a weakness of this team. However, I don't want to jump to conclusions and say instantly Alex Caruso is the answer for the Chicago Bulls. He may very well be, and I'm very optimistic that he will be, but with the large money that we did give him compared to what many other people got around the league, this is someone I want to wait and see about. But again, it's not, I'm saying a large contract like it's a max. It's not a large contract, at least in my opinion, but many people have that argument. And I want to try and be, I guess, two-sided here. I want to be able to understand that people might not want Alex Caruso for the money that he's been here for, but also he's the player that we need. He's a player that we've desperately needed for a long time when it comes to the Chicago Bulls. So I'm in two minds there, and I want to respect both parties, I guess, that have different opinions to each other. But for me, I've always been a wait-and-see person when it comes to Alex Caruso, because again, he can definitely outplay that contract in my opinion, but it's all come down to the opportunity, and he's going to be the leader off of this bench. So he needs to show it every single night, but it's a good start to impress in training camp. If you're impressing players, you're impressing the fans, you're impressing people that are watching you in training camp and talking about you, then at the end of the day, that's a terrific start, and hopefully that can reflect into the regular season, into preseason as well. We'll get to see Alex Caruso there too, and just overall see whether or not he's going to be an outstanding player for the Chicago Bulls. I have my money on that he's going to be a great player for this team, but again, optimism is key when it comes to the start of the season. And to end things on, I guess, a little bit of a negative note, it's about the tampering situation. Now, nothing's official yet. First thing I want to say, nothing is official. So this is something that's been talked about around the league, about the potential punishment we may face, because it looks like we will be seen as guilty when it comes to the tampering situation. And it looks like the Chicago Bulls are going to be deducted a first-round pick, which basically means they're going to take a first-round pick away from the Chicago Bulls. My guess is it's going to be the pick that we got from Larry Marketing. I'm assuming, or unless that, obviously, if that goes back to Portland, I don't know. But the reality is, it looks like we're going to lose a first-round pick, which I have a few things to say about this situation. The tampering situation is one that I think is the most, I guess, pettiest situations that have ever been talked about when it comes to the NBA, because every team tampers, and that is just the situation. Of course, when I first made this video updating, or I guess discussing the tampering, I didn't see it as the Chicago Bulls were tampering. I think the Chicago Bulls are too good to tamper. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the tampering situation, I guess it's a pick and choose situation. And I didn't know much about it at that time. But now that I know more about it, there are many teams that tamper. Every team tampers in many ways. I mean, we've seen players admit to tampering before. So it is hard to swallow that we're one of the only teams that are being looked at and I guess potentially getting punished by this. But this should be, if this is a strong message that the NBA are trying to send out, all I have to say to the NBA is that you need to be consistent with every single tampering situation that you decide to do. You can't pick and choose every single piece of every single team that you want. You need to look at every team. If you're really emphasizing that the Chicago Bulls or any other team in the world that play under your umbrella in the NBA, all 30 NBA teams, don't tamper, then you need to look at every single team. You can't pick and choose. You can't say this year, because the Chicago Bulls were the first team to announce it free agency, I'm going to pick the Chicago Bulls. I'm going to pick the Miami Heat. You should be picking a bunch of teams. You should be picking all the teams. It's as simple as that. If you're going to try and emphasize punishments, you're going to take away certain things from teams, you need to do it to every team. Punishments such as taking away a first-round pick is a big punishment to swallow. It's one of the worst ones we could have asked for. And at the end of the day, we could be a winning team, and that first-round pick might not matter to us. But the reality is, a first-round pick is a first-round pick. It's a big thing to lose. I don't care who you are. It could be a trade asset down the line. It could be a valuable piece where we could draft. It's a big thing to lose. So if you're going to take away first-round picks, if you're going to fine people up to $10 million, if you're going to fine, or I guess take away or suspend executives, all of these things that we could have maybe ended up happening, even voiding his contract, the reality is you need to do this to every team. It's as simple as that. You're going to make drastic punishments like that, then either you change the rule or you look at every team. That's my situation. That's the only thing I have an issue with. If we're going to get deducted a first round pick, if every team didn't tamper and we're the only team that ever tampered in this free agency, then fine, I can accept that. We did something wrong and we end up getting punished for that. But the reality is, you see teams like the Lakers that have got away with it. You probably see other teams around the league that have gotten away with it, and we're the ones that are going to be suffering from this. The Milwaukee Bucks had to suffer from this as well. The Miami Heat will possibly suffer from this. This is what I'm not okay with, because you just pick and choose. You need to make sure every team needs to be consistent. And at the end of the day, that's the only issue I have with this situation. I've ranted on, but it's just a stupid thing. I really find this a ridiculous thing to do. But whatever. We're going to get a first round pick deducted. It looks like nothing's official. Maybe we walk away clean and it's all fine and good. But at the end of the day, it's just something that it needs to be consistent, man. Every team needs to go through this. You can't pick and choose. If you want an NBA team to follow your rules, then at the end of the day, you have to look at every NBA team. It's as simple as that, man. Of course, maybe the free agencies, you don't need to necessarily look at that. But when it comes to sign-in trades, I feel like every sign-in trade that has ever been done when it comes to free agency needs to be looked at. Every single one. Even some of the trades before the trade deadline. Everything when it comes to this situation needs to be looked at. Every sign-in trade, in my opinion, from every team needs to be looked at. That's just the way that I see it. We'll see how things go. Of course, could just be a petty Bulls fans talking about getting punished. I'm fine with getting punished. I'm just pissed off that other teams haven't got punished when they've openly admitted to the same things that we may have done, and it's not even been proven yet. So we'll wait and see. But that seems to be the ongoing theme around the NBA at the moment. It looks like we will get deducted a first-round pick for Lonzo Ball. Apparently, this is all Rich Paul's fault. We all know who Rich Paul is. There's no need to go into any detail about that. But yes, he potentially may have just cost us a first round pick. And of course, we have every right to be angry with him as well. And hopefully down the line, he can pay us back one, because the truth is, he kind of cost us big time in this situation. But I'm still happy that we have Lonzo Ball on the team. I'm still happy that he's not going to get voided, which I never thought would be the case. It's good to see that doesn't even seem to be a question. I'm just pretty upset about this entire circumstance. I'm not gonna lie, it does piss me off thinking about it, but again, we move on. Every team from now on, hopefully the NBA can look at this and just say, we should look at every team. Every team needs to follow the rules. You can't just pick the first person to get signed in free agency and say, we're gonna look at that team. That's just a stupid flaw in my opinion, and eventually they're gonna get proven wrong one time, and we'll see. Maybe not, because every team does tamper. Reality is, I'm going to end this video here. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Hopefully you enjoyed the update video. The Chicago Bulls Weekly will come out soon. Our first game is going to be relatively soon. Only 5 days left, I believe, at least for me. So very, very excited about that, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to see the Chicago Bulls play once again, and hopefully that can take your mind off of the tampering situation. But the reality is, training camp's going, people are happy, people are talking, people are excited, and some players are impressing. And these are the things that you need to take away from this video, the positive vibes. And if we do end up getting a first round pick deducted from us, when it does become official, then I guess we will wait and see until that does happen. Have a wonderful day, Bulls Nation. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care.